Welcome back, everyone. So today we're going to dive into the 4 universal archetype, and they are also known as the survival archetype. So we're going to go through the victim, the saboteur, the prostitute, and the child archetype, or the inner child archetype. So here's the thing. We all have these 4 archetypes. We all have inner child. We all have the victim. We all have the saboteur. And we all have the prostitute. Like all of us. If you're human, you have these. They serve as powerful teachers in our wheel of life to teach us really big core lessons when it comes to survival. So let's go through it individually. Make sure I have my notes here. So last time I just kind of talked about the archetypes, who they are, and how many we have in total. We have 12 archetypes in total, and they break down. So we have the 4 that we all have, and then we have the 8 that are more unique to us, right? I want you to see this more as the blueprint to your soul. It is the blueprint to your soul. The archetypes are the blueprint to your soul. Very powerful information here. And of course, what I'm going to give you is just like a little taste of what this wisdom is. So if you're like, I would like to discover mine, then definitely sign up for the course, sign up for with the introductory price, right? Make sure that you do that, because after this week again, it's going to be gone. So make sure you jump on it, grab hold, and let's do this. It's powerful, powerful, powerful. So let's begin with the victim. Right? The victim. So the victim really comes in to show us where we tend to get victimized, right? And why we choose to be victimized, because sometimes subconsciously we do choose to get victimized, right? And also it shows you, it's very interesting because it shows you where you actually play the victim so that you can get attention. So you can, get that self-pity thing going on. These 4 archetypes are usually stemmed from it shows or highlights the core wounds that we experience, especially from the time we're born till I'll say 21, right? The very key parts of our lives. And so they tend to push up the roots of what is going on in our life. So, how I like to describe the archetypes is it is this massive tree, but it's the root of that massive ancient tree, right? And everything that we experience on the outside, so the branches, the leaves, right? Those are just the little, how it expresses in our lives. So the victim, to really go into the core wound, you go into the root of that, the victim. Where is the victim? Where does the victim show up in your life? And that's something that we dive in deeper in the course. You will identify where the victim shows up in your life the most, and the wisdom and the gift that it brings you. So first, it shows you where you need to clear, and then it brings you the gift so that you can step into the highest version of who the victim is. One thing I love about these archetypes is that they're both light and shadow, just like we are. They are us, right? So they will show you your shadow side. Remember, our shadow side is only shadow because it is not in the light. And what it craves the most is to be in the light. It's the same with these archetypes. When you get a shadow archetype, what it needs is for you to bring light to it, which means that you bring awareness to it. You're not just ignoring it. You're not putting it in a box and, keeping it in the back of your consciousness. You're actually facing it and you're working through it. Because once you do, that archetype or that aspect of yourself opens up in a way that you can't even imagine, really bringing in more of who you are, the wisdom of more of who you are, and the gifts that come with that. I mean, it's badass, absolutely incredible. So the victim is like, how do you get victimized? How do you play victim? And then there was like one more, how do you victimize others, right? How do you victimize others? Because when that archetype is in the shadow phase, it really is, it kind of, well, what am I looking for? I want to say like, it can wreak a havoc in your life, right? It can wreak havoc in your life. I mean, all the shadow archetypes, when they are activated because you're not paying attention to them, you cannot ignore them anymore. So the goal of this course is that you remove them from that box you've been storing them in for a long time. You bring them into the light, which is what they really want, into the forefront of your awareness, and begin to co-create with them, to work with them. That's all they want. Once they're there, they'll be more imbalanced, and you begin to reap from that balance. I mean, it's incredible how much they will support you. And I'm saying that as beings because they are part of your consciousness. They're different parts of your consciousness in play. They're very powerful and very much present, just as you are. So the victim, again, is how you victimize others, how you victimize yourself, and how you play victim. Let's go ahead and move on to the saboteur. Ooh, the saboteur, saboteur, saboteur. Just like with the name, you know, the saboteur comes in to teach you about where you are afraid to own your power. Where you are afraid to own your power. How do you sabotage yourself? How do you sabotage others? How do you sabotage your success? You know, usually you hear this in the coaching realm, you know, like, how do you sabotage yourself? You're sabotaging your success. But do you understand why you do that? This archetype is the key to that. And knowing who this archetype is and how it shows up in your life is the key to begin to shift that. You know, going from I am sabotaging my success to, oh, okay, I understand why I'm sabotaging my success. I now own my power, right? So again, this is just like the very surface level. We go in deeper into the course. So, all right, so now we're going to move on to the prostitute, which I love this archetype because it's not just talking about, you know, physical prostitution. It's also talking about spiritual prostitution. So the prostitute, it's about how you sell yourself, your body, your gifts, your talents. How do you sell it out? How do you sell out? It shows up when you're not owning your gift, when you're not honoring your gifts, when you're not honoring your body, this physical temple, when you're not honoring your work, right? For example, you know, for those of you who are so afraid to charge for your work, charging the value for the gift that you've been instilled with and sharing that gift with others, teaching others that gift. This archetype is somewhere in there in your occupation, in the house of occupation, which is something that we dive in the course too. So that's the prostitute. Where do you sell yourself out? Where do you sell your gifts out? Where do you sell out your magnificence, your body, right? And then the last one is the child archetype. So the child archetypes, there's two aspects to it. There's the shadow archetype, and then there's the, I guess I could say the light archetype, or the elevated child, right? And these work together. You have both. You have both the wounded child, or the, you know, the wounded child, and then you also have the magical child. Because whenever you step into the wounded child, the magical child is the one that's going to pull you out. And those are just examples of the child archetypes, wounded child and magical child. There's the abandoned or the orphan child. There's the nature child. There's the divine child. But it brings in the balance between the light and the shadow again, and they work together beautifully. So the inner child archetypes is how it shows you how to manage the balance between independence and dependence. Because again, think about your child archetype, from the time you're born all the way to when you are a young adult, right? You are very dependent on your mom, your parents, for love, for food, the basic needs: love, food, water, right? Air, right? So you think about that. If that child was wounded, if that child was not being given any of those basic needs, that is a wound. That's a core wound right there. Oh my gosh, it's like so much that wants to come out. And again, I share this in the course. Like seriously, it is incredible the wisdom that comes out of this, right? So if you weren't given any of these basic survival needs, it become a core wound that continues to wreak havoc in your life. If you are depleted of love, then your whole life you're looking for love, and you realize that if you're not doing the deeper work, you're just looking for love, but it's not the type of love that your soul is craving. The soul really craves the love that you never had from, let's say, your mother or from your father. And so we'll keep replicating that instance in hopes that it will be corrected, right? So this archetypes really brings in the light. So it's like, okay, this is the wound that you received because you were human, but this is how you can elevate, or this is how you can bring light to that wounding. This is how you can heal from that trauma, from that pain, from that neglect, right? Powerful stuff here. So I'm going to go through it again. We have where's the other one? Okay, it's all here. So we talked about the victim. Make sure I said everything. Yes. So the victim is how you victimize yourself, how you victimize others, how you play victim for sympathy, right? The saboteur, where are you? The saboteur is how you're afraid of your own power, how you sabotage yourself, how you sabotage others, how you sabotage your success. And we go into the prostitute, which is really about how you sell out, right? Selling out yourself, selling out your gifts, selling out your body, selling out your destiny, selling out your spirituality, right? How do you sell out? And then the last part is the child archetype. And it's about how you manage the balance between independence and dependence, how it brings in the wisdom of play and innocence, right? Was it lost? Do you still have that? Is it balance? Is it like an excess? Let me drink some water. So these four core, I want to say, like, foundational archetypes, they're universal. We all have them, and they come in with a punch. I mean, you can look around in your life and see who is operating in any of these archetypes, or even yourself. Where do you see this archetype show up? Again, this is not like, oh, I don't have the victim, or you have the, no, we all have these archetypes. It's just a matter of, is that archetype in light, or is it still in shadow? Which means that, are you always co-creating with this archetype? Are you aware of this archetype and where it pokes its head, right? Or do you have it in the background? Do you have it in a box somewhere in the shadows, right? That you don't even look at it. That is the difference. That is the difference. So again, when you bring them to the forefront, when you bring them into the light, they bring such gifts to elevate you, to elevate that area of your life, right? And one thing I want to mention is that where the archetype shows up in your life, which is something you discover in the course, tells you a lot about what is going on. So for example, let's say the saboteur shows up in your, I think it's the 6th house. Let's see here. Okay, let's say the 7th house of marriage and relationships, right? Let's say you have the saboteur there. This is where you would notice the shadow of that, the saboteur. So how do you sabotage your relationships? How are you sabotaging your marriage? How are you sabotaging your partnership, right? Let's say you have the victim in, what is a good one? Let's go into the fourth house, which has to do with the home, right? Having the victim there. It's like, how do you play victim in the home? Are you someone who, when I say home, like home, family, are you someone who tends to be and like the woe is me in the family? Like, oh, everything happens to me, nothing good happens. Oh, it's just me. Are you that person in the family, right? That's where that archetype is showing up. So it's so cool because once you identify your 12 archetypes, next what we do is that we cast, well, you do. I just guide you through it. You cast your archetype so you can see where they chose to work with you, where they chose to help you master and hone your skills so you can be the master of your life, right? The captain of your life. So that is it for today. Tomorrow or next time, we're going to be talking about the other 8. Actually, I'm going to be breaking it down because the 8 comes with, is broken down. So I'll break it down so we can go into that. And again, just a reminder, if this is calling to you, like, I need to know who my archetypes are. I need to know where my saboteur is, where my victim is, where my, what's the other one, where my prostitute archetype is, where my child archetype is showing up. Then I invite you to sign up for this course, and especially this week while the introductory price is still available. Make sure that you message me and let me know you're interested, and I'll send you the link to sign up. All right, my loves, until next time, from my heart to yours. Bye.